Typically you don't want to do this with pistons because of the coatings on the outside. Gentlemen, we're back. Subaru. I mentioned I got that crank back. I got it back a month ago already, you know. It's been, since we tore the motor out, tore it down, it's been, I don't know, what has it been? Half a year, 6 months, 4 months? It's been a while. I forget, I don't know. Well, this says water pump, but otherwise I don't know what's in all these boxes that came in. I don't know what's under these. Uh-oh, there's pistons. They ground the crank, they said everything looks great. Main journals on the crank are factory spec yet. I got stock size main bearings for that, and that's what we're going to be checking first thing here. Well, I know I don't have all the parts to totally assemble this thing yet. I forget exactly what parts. I know for sure one was oil pump, and I think I'm going to be going to the, well, I think there's an oversize or a high flow pump for this. I'm going to be getting that. Hopefully you guys can see down in, like, that oil groove is the easiest to see. There's those carbon deposits down in that groove. Down in the bottom in there. That's why we're gonna go through with some scrapers and whatnot and get that carbon out of those grooves. That's what makes the rings get stuck, and then you lose all your compression, and then you have no compressions, no pissies. They're just nothing there. One great thing for removing carbon deposits is, like an old broken ring, carefully work my way around inside of these grooves. This is a bunch of repetitive nonsense. I usually don't clean up tops very much, but I clean up tops a little bit. Typically you don't want to do this with pistons because of the coatings on the outside. The Teflon and whatnot on the outside of pistons, but yeah. Good enough for who it's for. Cleaned up pretty nice. That's 4. I didn't run ultrasonic the full. You probably saw 43 minutes or 45 minutes I was on the timer. I only ran it 12, 13, maybe 15 minutes total. If you run it too long with aluminum, well, I have Pine Sol in mine. It works super great for cleaning aluminum carburetors and stuff. I mean, you can see how nice and clean I can get it. I didn't want to get too carried away though, because you wait too long and then the aluminum starts to get like a gray finish to it, and I don't want to get to that point, especially with the coatings on the sides of these skirts. I don't want to get too carried away with it. We can only put the rods on 2 pistons. All right, pistons are done. We got to do the rings next for each one of those pistons. How do we do? I forget how we do. I'm not trying to remove any material. Just trying to get the carbon off the rings. And that is about all, I mean, that's all it takes. It's important when you're reusing parts, especially like piston rings, and if you reused bearings or something, you always want to make sure every part goes back in its same exact spot and its same exact orientation, up, down, side, side. You want it just like it was when it came out, because it's worn into that cylinder or that spot or that anything in that motor, and that's where it wants to be. Cock blocker, son of a bash. Plugs out. There's that little notch. Air hammer cut in there to back her out. You're gonna go with some of that 8 Hun Oops. Wow. Edit this out. No one will ever know. Do water in this one. Not taking off material, the aluminum, the actual parent material, you're just cleaning the surface. Calm down. We're not decking the block here. Just cleaning up the remnants of that prior gasket that was on here. Alright, I think I could take this one to the solvent tank. Alright, here we are. The blocks have been scraped and probed and sanded and stoned and cleaned and wiped and blown. They got the full treatment. We're gonna drop in these main rod bearings now. Main rod bearings? Main bearings. Oh, don't cut where the poop. Where the poop? Like, what? There's stuff on them? Yup. Oh yeah. So what is this one? This is a far back one. So this is right? There's no lock. Is there supposed to be a lock? Why did you guys not put a lock in this one? And they both have a spot they could have a lock. Why would the bearing with the thrust not have a lock in it? I don't like that. Don't like that very much. When I get the bearing pushed down in there, I actually like push it back and forth a couple of times so it gets like centered and seated in its spot. There. Now we bolt these two halves together. Take a bunch of measurements. Those dowel pins. Now where's the bolts? Where do the bolts go? Oh, there's a couple there. I gotta find the bolts. Alright, now I'm gonna reuse the old washers for now. Just for getting the measurements. Final assembly, we'll use the new washers. Here. Oh yeah. So that must be those, and then sealed ones, yeah. And then sealed ones, oh yeah. Oh, Now it's torque spec on those. 34.70. What did I say? 34.7? Try that. See what that smells like. Oh, okay. No, which way? That's it? That's it. Okay. Oil groove. What do you do? Oh yeah. Bearings are made of stuff and do things. Oh yeah, we gotta measure. Hello. Tools. Okay, I've been jumping around a lot in the shop here, but kind of in between. Well, actually, I'm waiting for parts for one of my other jobs, so got back on this motor. I just got done taking down all the measurements of all the main journals and, well, the main journals in here with the bearings in them, and then the journals on the crank. Did all the math, and they are all within spec. Actually, surprisingly, like, they are like, almost all of them are like just perfectly right in the dead center of spec, so there should be no problems there whatsoever. I did take a quick measurement across the rod journals that they just ground, and they're all really close to each other except for one. Number 3 here is just a hair smaller, bigger, smaller, just a hair smaller than the rest of them. I don't know why, but yeah, I mean it must be made up for in the rods. Maybe that one rod was a little bit smaller or whatever. They ground it to match the rod. So this is all good. So I am gonna crack open this case again. Oh, I was gonna show you my madness here. So I would take, this is bore gauge, bore caliper gauge, bore, what is that called? What do they call it? Bore gauge. Yep. 511 series. Mitoyo. Mitu Toyo. Like Toyota, but Mitsubishi Toyota. Yeah. Take that, go down, and then I measure a, ooh, popped on there. And take a measurement of one of the journals with the bearings in it. And the reading you actually get here is minus. You're subtracting to get to your measurement, because these bore gauges, you put a set amount, a size of a mandrel in here. So this should be, when it's zeroed out, when it's right at 0, that is 2.4 inches across there. So when you're actually taking a measurement in the bore, it's squeezing this down past that 2.4 inches. So you're actually like subtracting whatever this measurement is from 2.4 inches. Doing the journals using a MiHoYo, again, Mitsubishi Toyota micrometer, and going down and taking a reading of them. Oh, that's a rod. That's right, I was doing rod measurements. Well, my goodness. Just going down, carefully finding the high spot, and then rocking the gauge back and forth and letting it find its center. Click it on the center, gently pull it out, and then take a reading. You got to go across and then add that to that number, and then add that to whatever number lines up here. I was also double checking by going to the bore gauge and sticking this on here and seeing what the bore gauge was giving me for a reading as well. So I was actually trying to take out as many variables as possible, or take out as many possible flaws in either reading or instrumentation or whatever I could. I do have, these are again Mitsubishi Toyota standards to make sure that the micrometer and everything is correct when it's reading. Actually, I used a 2-inch and a 3-inch on this 2 to 3 inch mic, and I did have to make an adjustment. There's a little hole here, and you use a little tiny spanner wrench, and you actually adjust this barrel to make the adjustments to dial it in. So I did that right off the bat. I made sure all the tools are right off the bat, and like I said, every journal, every single thing I measured, I cross-referenced between them both just to make sure everything was as accurate as possible. The bearings, this is like one of the main parts of getting right in an engine. Bearings, piston size, and ring gap, I guess you could say, are the three main, or the three most crucial measurements to get right in the engine. Everything else has a little fudge factor figured into it, but yeah, those three, they got to be on. Let me get this block split, and we'll get this stuff all cleaned up one more time. And oh yeah, I gotta get a couple of rods on this crank before I throw it in there. Here we go, like usual, OEM Subaru gaskets. I don't think I gotta pull all of these on. Well, maybe. this one? What is that? Exhaust, timing belt cover. That must be this one. Yeah, this has got like all the O-rings and seals. There's head gaskets in there, and intake gaskets, water pump. Oh, beer abuse. Oh no, it's empty already. Fries are done. It's clean fingers. Give the bearings and the surfaces a final wipe. I gotta clean this crank. We're gonna give her a dousing of brake cleaner and give her a blow jobber. Where's the blow jobber? And set it right back down in the dirt there. Oh, what is that you're saying? This is whey oil from my lathe, and it's actually technically like bar and chain oil for a chainsaw. It's got super high, you see that? A lot of tactifiers in it, so it sticks. And it's heavy. So it's heavy, it stays where it's put. And it has tactifier, so it's gonna wrap up on that crank. It's gonna stick to it and stay there. It's not gonna all just run out and disappear. I like it for assembly oil lube for all this stuff because it's just what I use. I don't know. It works for me. It works for me. It works for me. Fine. I heard you guys. You're like, what? You're in my way. I can't see. This video sucks. Fries are done. I never checked end play, but we'll pretend it's good. I gotta pull this crank back out. We gotta get these two pistons in. So luckily I went back and looked at one of the old blocks I got in the back, and I saw in that one that there was one piston left in one yet, and the dot faces forward towards the snout. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, you guys watching? Dot facing forward. This is number one. Forward one here. Oh. Uh-oh. Never should have to force anything. We'll put it right here at your TDC for the time being. That's gonna be it. Dot facing forward. This is number tray. Right. Oh yeah. She's gonna make all the power and then blow up. Crank back in here now again. Go like that. Oh, sweet. Usually not a lot to clean up on rod bearings. Where's this one right here? Just slip it in there and get her lined up. All these parts were clean, but just giving them a little extra finger rub. You can usually feel pretty well if there's some kind of anything on the surface, and your fingers don't leave behind lint usually. Just like the crank, I push it back and forth a couple of times so it's seated down in there nice. Another shot of the oil. 38.5 footy pounders. They don't say anything about threads being dry or oiled or anything. That makes a difference. Dry threads, you get a different torque than oiled threads. You get a different torque with different fluids that you use in between or on the threads. Oil itself will give a different torque than, say, ARP Molly assembly lube. And I'm not going to make you guys all sit through all of this and watch this either. Is that crank a little? Oh no, that's oil on there. Oh my gosh. I almost had the poop scared right out of me. I saw what looked like a bunch of grooves in this last main journal on the crank, and I was like, what did somebody do? So we just got to run sealant across this top and this back. What I'm going to use for sealant, this is Permatex Surface Prep Activator for anaerobics. Almost forgot, gotta get these rods on now before we put the case halves together. So I put that tang in that slot, but not all the way down in that slot. So that bearing sticking above that surface a little bit. There's a little tiny here. Then I push in just slightly. You're not trying to push in much at all, just to help it clear this edge as you're pushing it down until it's level with that surface. Then I push this side in, and then I push it back and forth just slightly so it centers out and sits nice and flat. Okay. All right, so next day. So then activator. And I am pretty sure that this is basically just, I don't know. Well, it's got some smells to it. And man, it leaks all over. And then we wait for that to dry. All right, we're using Permatex Anaerobic Gasket Maker. What I have this for and what I use this for is outboard engines, marine blocks. They're basically set up exactly the same thing as like the Subaru block. There's a crank in the middle and the two halves of the block get sandwiched together. They're machine surfaces, so you want those machine surfaces to contact each other. There's no gasket in there because these tolerances are so tight and correct and specific. They don't put nothing in here, and that is exactly what this is made for. This is used in outboards all the time, and like I said, this is exactly the same. So hopefully this is still good and there's enough in here. It doesn't take a lot. You basically just need a thin coat. I don't know if that activator is dry. Yeah, no. Stick her on there, and I don't know if I want to use my finger and smear it on or just do a bead. What do? We'll just go straight out of the container here then, I guess. And it acts kind of like an RVT or RTV. It feels about the same. And this, I guess this doesn't matter up here. We're just trying to seal the oil part. Wherever this oil is going to be. Keep the oil on the inside. Up to the main seal there. Around this bolt hole. To the edge, that's the oil pan on the bottom. So, alright, that should be good. Kind of like Loctite, this does not set up until it makes contact with that activator. And the only reason you use an activator here is because these are aluminum parts. If these were steel cast iron parts, it would activate on its own and harden up. So All right, you got O-rings, O-rings, O-rings. Nothing else here, right? Pistons are in, rods are in. Dowel pins, we're good. We're good? We're good. Okay. So then this should just easily line up, get that rod in there first. What? Why are you not? Oh, it's already up to that dowel pin on that side. There we go. No, where's my rubber whammer? I gotta keep an eye on those O-rings. I don't want those. Make sure those don't pop out. All right, we're seated. Feels like I'm forgetting something, but I just don't know what. So ones with the seals for the water go on. Coolant is okay. Let me look up the torque on all those quick, and you can see that red stuff is just barely getting squished out. That anaerobic sealant, that's perfect. It's exactly what you want. 34.7 footy-pounds. There. All right, all the big ones are torqued. Now there's all these little ones around the outside. I gotta go. I don't even know where are they? I think these are Dems. So you got some that are longer than others, and some that are medium, some that are covered in junk, and then these call for 18 footer-pounds, I guess. I don't know. This is exciting stuff, isn't it? You guys are on the edge of your seat. I'm pretty excited to get this in the car. I don't know how long it's been months. Something about buying a car and not being able to drive it for ever. Is that a crack in that socket? Sure enough it is. Oh, actually, oh yeah, this isn't. What is this? Oh, it's a proto socket and it's got a crack in her. Weird. And that's just a 10. That's an oil, or that's water passage from one side to the other, right through the oil pan area. Yeah. You don't want that to leak. That would be stupid. All right, there. Okay. What I'm doing is getting that rod for back here lined up with this hole so we can drop that piston in and get that pin in. It's a weird Subaru design. Wrist pin, which way is this face? It's going to face this way. So we can get this retaining pin in. So we're putting it on this side. So that's the retaining clip for the inside. So then the piston goes in like this. The wrist pin will go through this hole, through the piston, through that rod somehow. I don't know how the hell you get that centered up, but somehow you fish around in there and get that centered up and get that pin through. Make sure all those rings are right. This is number 4. The dot facing forward. Just like that. Light taps on the ring compressor, so that's seated against the block. That just taps right in. Nice and easy. Lemon squeezy. Now we watch through this hole. Well, I guess you can kind of manipulate the rod down here. Oh, too far. Too far. Can't get in there now. Oh my gosh, you almost guillotined my finger right now. And we're gonna give her a little dip in the oil. And here's that tool I made that should just slide right in there and let us stick her in the hole. So I get the rod lined up and the piston lined up. And we should be able to just go in your home. Why you not? There she goes. There. And there she's in. Then we just get this one retaining clip in. There. Make sure that seat's in there completely, fully, nicely. Yeah, looks good. All right, I got stuff all laid out and stuff I know I'm not to yet. I put back in the bag. We got main seal, some O-rings, some more O-rings, and some O-rings and other stuff. But I think the one we're after for that cap is right here. Yeah, that fits in there good. Just like it belongs. So I wonder, must be this way. I don't think it's got to be super tight, but we're just going to give her a little whack whack on each one. Okay, that's best I can do for now. Hopefully I can zoom in on this when I do the editing. So here's the rod down in the hole. It looks a little high to you guys because that's just like where you're sitting, but it's straight in. Oh, let me get this piston ready. Where's... Okay. Pushing the piston down. Right about... Nah. Alright, now, where was I reaching? Right there. I gotta hold that rod right perfect in line with the hole and then try to get this pin. Get in the rod. Get in there. Wow. What's going on? Well, this is a good time. We're having a good time here. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And then once it's in, it just goes right in. Give her a little wiggle. And get that pin down into the piston and release, and make sure she's good and seated. Yeah, okay. Pin is in. So that was easy. We'll use blue because I mean we don't want it to like lock right in there, but we just want it to seal up so oil and the stuff doesn't come out. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Everything turny like it's supposed to. Oh yeah. Am I turning it backwards? No, yeah, that's the way it goes. Right? Yeah. Feels good. So it's gonna be set right about there for the rest of the assembly. I think I could take this off. Get some grease in between those two lips of the seal. Alright, I just use a big flat punch. Drive this seal till it is flush with this aluminum outer, the block, the housing, all the way around. There is a tool for driving this seal in so it sits nice and perfectly flat. Sits in there nice. I don't know if it's the same for Subarus as it is for other cars, but typically what it is just a big flat metal driver that you actually use like the crank bolts to like drive that seal and everything in flat. And it gets bottomed out on the crank, and then when it bottoms out, this seal is set perfectly in place. But the big diesels and stuff, when they're huge, I usually like to use the driver, but this will work for this. I think we can stick this back on the engine stand and get after stuff. Or should I put the flywheel? No, flywheel I gotta have ground yet. Dang it. There are no threads left in that starter hole. That's nice. This has been a pretty nice engine stand from Harbor Freight. The only complaint I have so far with it is when it's in transport mode, it has 3 wheels in this front one. Where most of the weight is, when the legs and everything are up, they're all on that one wheel on the bottom here, and that just makes it like the 1980s Honda 3-wheelers. It wants to tip over, kill everybody. Slide this block. Slide. Right jaw. Alright, I guess we got first head out of the solvent bath here. I'm just going to go through and get some of this chunky stuff off. Light scraping, a little of the block action, and quick spray with the brake cleaner and a blow and a quick blow jobber. She'll be ready to go back on. A little high spot right there. Here again, like always, I'm always putting my finger on top of the scraper so I can feel that it's flat and it's not rocking on the material. If you're just holding it out here, you're gouging in the stuff. Yeah, you're just not good. You gotta feel that scraper is soft, and I'm just barely, just enough that I'm able to push it with this backhand. I know everybody in every place has its thing. There's some people that would not assemble a motor in a dirty garage like this whatsoever. They have to have a nice, super clean, almost like basically medically clean environment before they think they're safe to assemble a motor. And yeah, that would be nice, I guess, if you got the means to do it. But we're not all working out of hospitals to assemble our motors. There's guys that do quick bush rebuilds of motors out in the dirt. Pull a part off and throw it on the side in the grass. It works. I mean, stuff gets done. Any of you guys watch that Ants Pants guy on YouTube? He's from East Germany, I guess. He's mentioned it a couple of times, and I don't know. He's a pretty funny guy. His accent just makes everything he does just that much funnier. Let's give her a blowjobber. When I blow these parts down, I go in every hole multiple times, all the way across, all around, then back again. Every little nook, cranny, down in the lines, way down. I get the blowgun right down into the port, or the valves, both sides, and all the electrical connectors, every single bolt hole. See, some of these still have like every single little bolt hole, every little nook and cranny around. I'm just blowing everything, and then when I'm done, I give it a bunch of once-overs all over. I don't know. A little brake cleaner on a paper towel, and just give it a quick, real gentle wipe across the surface. Clean hand. Do a quick wipe across. You don't have no lint on your hand. So that surface is ready to go on. Right? Maybe? I don't know. What do you like? Yup. Everything's in the right spots. Oh, that looks beautiful. Can you guys see that? She's a thing of beauty. It's beautiful, Clark. I should have bolts ready because we don't want anything leaking down on that gasket before we get it a little bit torqued down. I've used these, well, these are Subaru, but I guess they're an updated head bolt. I've used these before on multiple Subarus and had good luck, so we're gonna go with that again. Oil everywhere. Okay, here we go. Right there. There we go. Oh my gosh, I gotta get an air tool. Feel bad going right 230 even. Oh yeah, okay. That's not bad. Then it's at 70. Loosen all the bolts in reverse order by 180 degrees. 7.4 foot-pounds. Sure. Sure. Alright, and then 22. Further tighten all to 51, if I can. Further tighten all bolts in alphabetical order by 90 degrees. Maybe see 90. Pretty much 90. Further tighten all bolts in alphabetical order by 40 to 45 degrees. Do not exceed 45 degrees. 45-ish. Further tighten bolts A and B by 45 degrees. Do not exceed 45 degrees or else. So these center two, they want another 45. Okay. So that their head is set. These buckets are different thicknesses depending how much lash they needed to take up between the valve and the cam. So you gotta make sure you get these back in the same exact spot, or else you have to go through the fun of finding their homes again. I've done that before. There was a Jaguar I was doing. A guy had me assemble a Jaguar. Well, actually a couple, but one of them, the engine was like tore down and all the parts were just in a box. And I got a shop manual and he said, "Here, can you put this back together?" Sure. And that Jaguar uses similar buckets to this. I mean, they're almost identical actually. And all of them were just thrown in a box. And oh, let me tell you the fun of putting in Jaguar cams. Assemble everything, take a feeler gauge, write down all the numbers of all the gaps that are in there, pull everything out, measure each cup and find out what it is, and then move them around, like where the ones that had smaller tolerances to the ones that had bigger tolerances, until you got as close as matching numbers as you possibly could. That was a good time. I hope I can get to do it again someday. Great fun. Why did I feel like EJ25? Just curious. What are we at with this exhaust? Should be close to 12, I would think. No. No. Nope. Less than 12. 8 thou. It's gotta be 8. That one fits an 8. How about a 5 thou? No? Well, that don't make sense. What is going on here? Well, guys, it came to my attention last night. Again, editing the video. All of a sudden I look and what? I mean, the video's like 45 minutes long. And this memory card is full, and I don't know. Man, maybe I'm showing too much of putting stuff together and taking it apart. Maybe I should cut out more stuff and just show like parts getting slammed on and thrown in the car. Let me know. I don't know these things unless, you know, you people tell me that I'm doing a crappy job and my videos are too long and boring. Rather watch Kardashians or something. So yeah, I guess I could say the first part of the video of assembling the Subaru motor and getting it back in is I gotta wrap it up. Sorry, I don't know. You guys let me know. Like I said, if videos are too long, boring, well, this clip is just gonna go flying. Gosh, see, I forget what I'm saying all the time. Never catch ADD. Terrible thing. ADHD, ADD, ABCD, whatever letters they're up to nowadays. ADHD, that thing from like in Fast and the Furious, that kid. He's like, you got that ADD, and he's like, yeah, that shit. Yeah, that shit. So the video is running too long. I got to cut it in half. I'm sorry. I really appreciate if you have watched it this far, and hope you come back. Again, if you watch it this far, like and subscribe, because that helps. And it's free, they tell me. I see like everybody always talking about that. It's free, so I guess it's free to subscribe and like videos. Ow! Oh, I just caught the end of my hand. Oh, that's not that big of a chunk. It's barely even bleeding. Oh, I guess another reason for a break in the videos is I'm waiting on parts. That one exhaust cam, oh yeah, that's what it was when I was editing. I asked to have the chance to play with lash buckets again for the cams. And yeah, I got my wish instantly with this motor. Pretty much same thing. I took all the measurements, pulled all the buckets out, threw them in a pile, and went back and did one at a time. Got all the lash adjusted on one whole side. This whole side is actually together already. I kind of, skipped some stuff without you guys watching. I was able to get the lash right, and this one whole head, this one whole side is assembled all the way up to the coil packs. The other side, I was able to get the intake cam in. I had enough buckets to do the intake cam because that's a tighter tolerance. That was, and those bigger shims that were there were perfect for that. Those are all 7/1000s for the intake side. But the exhaust side, there wasn't a single bucket I could use left over after that whole pile to do that one last exhaust cam. So I had to order buckets, and they said there's kind of a delay in them. So it's gonna be like a couple of weeks. That's awesome. So yeah, that's another reason for a break in this video, is it's gonna be a couple of weeks before we get the parts that we need to, you know, continue on. Like I recorded it, like it'll be in the next video. Like I put on as much as I could on the motor until I'm at the point where I need that valve cover and timing belt and stuff on. So while we wait, I'm doing stuff I can, cleaning up parts, getting them prepped for assembly. I'm going to rebuild this turbo. I got a kit in for that. That's the same thing as like the WRX. I actually made a whole video of rebuilding the turbo on the WRX if you guys want to go back and watch that. Oh my gosh, it's not bleeding that bad at all. So yeah, like and subscribe and come back and check out part 2 of this debacle. Sure, it's gonna be a funny time. Oh, why you not just separate?